Okay, so now we want to connect the interior of this port with the rear nose, and that's actually going to be pretty simple to do, but we're going to break one of our fundamental rules in doing it. So let's head up and turn on a section view of our assembly, and make sure we're looking at an x-axis section view, i.e. cutting along the right plane. I'll hit OK, and now we have half of our model. I'm also going to turn off my real view graphics for a minute, which hopefully will make things a little bit easier to see. Now, what we're going to be doing is creating a lip and a groove that connects this piece to this piece, and that is going to be context dependent within our assembly. I know I've told you that we would never make external references within our assembly, but gosh darn it, in this case, it's going to be super convenient to do that, and it's not going to be really detrimental to our health in any way. So this one is okay. You just have to make sure that when you're creating external references in your assembly, you're doing it in a very intentional way. That's really my point. So let's right-click on our port geometry and edit that part in context. That's going to give us both of these things to look at. We'll zoom in here. I'm going to head up to my Insert menu and down to the Fastening Features and over to Lip/Groove. I'll then select the two things that I want to add my lip and groove to. First is the one that will have the groove, and that's going to be my port here. Next, we have the part that will create the lip, and that's going to be the nose cone. Then we need to create or select a face that will define the direction of our groove. So I'm going to rotate around here, right-click in this general area, select Other, and then find a face that connects these two pieces together. In this case, I think it's going to be this face right here, pointing straight outward. And it's going to automatically select for me faces where those two components meet, and it actually happens to usually do a pretty good job. If that hadn't happened in the groove selection area, I would need to right-click out here, select Other, and find the proper face that's going to contain that lip. So next, we need to choose an edge that it will use to create the lip and groove features. So first, we'll select the interior edge of this part. Perfect. Scroll down here, select this one. We'll select the same interior corresponding edge on the other part. And it's going to give us this preview showing the size of our lip, which is perfect. And down here in parameters, don't be scared. This looks a little bit intimidating, but it's not that bad. What we want is a 1.5 millimeter thick lip. And we're going to have 3 degrees of draft on it, and you could choose how much draft you think you really need. And we need to choose also how deep is that lip. And I'm doing 5 millimeters, which is quite a bit, because I think I'm going to epoxy these two things together, and we're going to need plenty of space for that to happen, plenty of purchase on that. We also might want to choose a tolerance in here, but in our case, I think we actually don't necessarily need one, except on this interior face where the glue needs to reside. So let's add a 1/4 millimeter of tolerance in between those two things, just to make room for our epoxy to exist. I'll hit OK. That's going to calculate, it's going to add a feature to both of those components, both the interior port and the rear nose, and suddenly we now have a mating feature that brings these two together and leaves a 1/4 millimeter gap in between so that we have enough space to make sure that, that our epoxy has somewhere to be inside there. So this is a very, very slick feature, very fast. There's a lot we can do with this. And I hope you're going to be able to make use of that in other projects as well. Let's exit this component. I'll go back and turn my real view graphics back on because they're purty. And then I'll turn off my section view, and we're ready to move on.